Hello, and welcome to this online workshop on school and well-being. It will be focusing on the transition from primary to secondary school. My name is Maria, and together with my colleague Zubeda, we would like to give you an understanding of how transition and well-being are linked together, especially if we feel nervous or anxious. We will also talk about what you can do to manage these feelings when these happen. We are children's and young people's psychological well-being practitioners, and we work as part of Barnet Integrated Clinical Service, which offers a range of social, emotional, behavioral, and mild to moderate mental health support for young people and families across the borough of Barnet.
Myself and Maria are part of the Children and Young People's Psychological Wellbeing team. We work with children and young people who are feeling stressed, anxious, worried, and low in mood. We have one-to-one sessions with young people and parents where we talk about how to overcome difficult feelings and discuss practical ways to help improve mood and well-being.
Why well-being and transition are important. By transition, we mean making a big change in our life and moving to something new. In this specific presentation, we are thinking about the passage from primary to secondary school. The time throughout this transition can affect young people in different ways. Does transition play a role in your well-being? Sometimes it can do. Some young people may find themselves feeling anxious, whilst others do not, and they feel excited of a new beginning, a new change. Transitions do affect our well-being if we are feeling worried or anxious about it. Looking at evidence regarding transition, the results tell us that between 25 and 30% of young people have experienced some difficulties during transition.
We all like things that are familiar to us: our school, the environment around us, and the things we do. Sometimes the idea of changing our routines can make us feel worried and uneasy, but this is normal as we don't know what to expect with change, and we may not be able to prepare ourselves in the ways that we want to. For all of us here in particular, we've had lots of changes happen in the last couple of months, including finishing school early due to COVID-19 lockdown, experiencing learning at home, changes in our routine, and daily life changes such as wearing a mask. We also have lots of changes that we will be facing soon, including going back to education and going to a new school.
The lockdown has been an unexpected period for all of us. What has this meant for you? There have been changes in a number of areas in our life. Things that we usually did, they have changed. As many things have changed, we divided these in three different areas. The first one is behavior. We have experienced a period of time where we were not allowed to go out and meet our friends as well as our relatives. The second one is feeling. As the change happened so quickly, you might experience feeling worried or having fear of something we didn't know about. And the third one is our thought. We all had thoughts that gave us a sense of uncertainty, such as, I don't know what is going to happen, or is it going to last forever?
Let's try and map out your worries about lockdown so that we can understand them better. As Maria discussed about thoughts, feelings, and behaviours, we can map them out as a cycle. You can see that if we think this is going to last forever, then this would make us feel anxious, scared, and stuck. And this would lead us to worry even more and maybe even avoid doing things like going out. The way we think, feel, and behave keeps our cycle of anxiety going.
What has changed before and after the lockdown due to COVID-19? Let's think of what has changed after the lockdown occurred. What did we used to do before the lockdown that now has changed? Before the lockdown, we used to go to school, attend after school clubs, and meet our friends. We used to go to a football match and be in a crowded place. We went to the cinema or to the restaurants to eat with our family. Let's now think about what we have been doing during and after lockdown that we didn't have to do before. We didn't go to school for the summer term. We didn't attend after school club. We are now wearing face masks, using more often sanitizers, queuing when we go into the shops, and keep 2 meters distance when we walk. Let's consider the space in the middle of the two circles. The narrow indicates the space where things have not changed. Washing our hands can be one, but also taking care of ourselves, spending time with family, doing homework, and having fun.
Let's have a think about the similarities and differences between primary and secondary school. What are some of the things from primary school that you won't have in secondary school? You might not have one teacher for all lessons or be in the same classroom all day, and you won't be wearing the same uniform that you're used to wearing. What's going to be different about secondary school that you might not have had in primary school? You may have different teachers for each class and different classrooms for all your lessons. You may have more responsibility and a little bit more homework. What's the same about both schools? You'll all be making new friends, you'll still have homework, and you'll be learning new things. Do think of your own ideas to add to our examples.
Let's try and make sense of the worries about going to secondary school. Understanding the way that our thoughts and behaviors impact on our feelings can be really useful and helps us to develop ways to breaking out of unhelpful cycles. If we are worried about going to secondary school, our thoughts and our behaviors are linked together and will impact on our feeling about this change. The way we interpret a situation impacts on how we feel and what we do. Consider this example. Let's imagine that we are feeling worried because we don't know anyone at the school. We might start think that nobody will like us. We will be wondering if we look silly or will we be okay? Once we start having these thoughts, we may experience feelings such as being nervous or scared. Also, our body can react towards this feeling and thoughts. We could have sweaty hands, or we would notice that our heart beating is racing and we have the sensation of butterflies in our stomach. And how would we behave? These feelings and thoughts could lead us to not move as we were frozen. We could avoid other people and staying alone. As you can see, the way we think and behave can influence the way we feel.
Going to a new school, you might experience worries related to these areas. You might also have other worries that we've not listed on here, and that's okay too.
Anxiety is our body's response to threat or danger. While it can feel horrible and uncomfortable, it isn't harmful. It is our response and can be very helpful and appropriate when we are really under threat. When we think we are in danger, our brain releases certain hormones to trigger the fight, flight, freeze response. This response is evolutionary programmed to help us to avoid or escape from danger and keep us safe. A number of changes happen in our body when the fight, flight, freeze response is triggered. We might experience heart beating, having sweat hands, or sensation of butterflies in our stomach. So, what can we do to help?
This is a practical strategy to help you manage anxiety. The worry tree is helpful when you have lots of worries and helps you to sort through them so that you can understand them better. The first step is to notice yourself worrying and ask yourself, what am I worrying about? Then it's helpful to think about whether you can do anything about the worry. If you can do something about this worry, make a plan. What, when, how will you do this? Will you be able to do it straight away? If yes, go ahead. If not, keep note of your plan and do it later. Focus on something else. Some examples of worries you can do something about include getting lost in your new school, not knowing what to do if you feel unwell, or if you lose something. For each of these, you can find out what you need to do, make a plan, and keep that in mind. If we go back to noticing the worry and you notice that this is a worry you have no control over and can't do anything about, we are going to try and let the worry go and think about something else. These types of worries include that COVID-19 will not go away and worries that you may fall sick. Can you fully control these? Unfortunately not. We do what we can to manage, such as maintaining social distancing and following government guidelines. Then we let the worry go. Maria will discuss with you techniques to help you with distracting yourself and shifting your focus of attention.
Helping to find ways to focus on the here and now when you're feeling very anxious and lost in your worries can be really helpful. Here, there are a few strategies that you might want to practice and try using when you feel worried. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique consists of describing or naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. The color strategy consists of finding 3 things in the room that are red, yellow, green, or other colors that you like. And then the stretch like a giraffe technique. Imagine you are a tall giraffe. Stretch your neck, your arms, and your legs as far as you can. Pay attention on how they feel. Count to 5 and relax. Then you can notice how they feel.
To manage our negative thoughts and worries, we try to think more positively. Each time you get a negative thought, try to balance it with a positive. You can ask yourself questions to challenge and discount these thoughts. For example, what other changes have I been through where I managed really well? And what does this tell me about how I cope with change? You have already experienced a number of changes, as we discussed at the start, and have adjusted really well. Have you thought about what you did to adjust and get through these changes? It's important to acknowledge these positive areas where you coped well and think about your success. Worries like this are normal, but it's helpful to balance these with more positive thoughts as they break our cycle of anxiety.
As we explored ways of how to manage our worries, it is important to remind ourselves about the positive things that we look forward in the near future. Making new friends, new young people in a new school can be scary, but also exciting. Back to school. Be curious about how the new school will be like. Playing in the playground and having fun. We all have fun times playing in the playground, and more times will come. Learning something new. There are interesting subjects that are ready to be discovered. And after school clubs, being back in activities that we like and try out new ones.
Here are some of our top tips to manage worry. Talk to someone who's been in the same position as you, someone who's experienced these changes before. It may be helpful to have their perspective about how they experienced a change like going into secondary school. Try some relaxation techniques. Take deep breaths and practice belly breathing. Practice your new routine. The more familiar you are, the easier it will become. Remember, you're in this with lots of other people. You're never alone. We are all experiencing the impact of COVID-19 together, and you'll be experiencing your new school with your year group, so we can all support each other during this time.
These are some apps and resources you can use to manage your worries. Calm and Headspace and Smiling Mind are useful apps for you to use for managing stress and anxiety. Kuth is an online platform which offers self-help and psychological support in a free, safe, and anonymous way. Starving the Anxiety Gremlin is a unique resource to help young people to understand what anxiety is and how to manage it. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your time. We hope we were able to help you and give you some strategies to use if you feel worried about the transition between primary to secondary school. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at bix@barnet.gov.uk. We would love to hear from you about your transition and how this will be. Will you have used any strategies and how this went? So, thank you and take care.